So I just had a guy tell me that the economy is booming and that the only reason people are struggling is because they're not working hard enough. Yep, so for all of us struggling, we're just not working hard enough. Does this guy realize that today there are people who are making 30 to 50,000 more dollars a year than they were making 3 to 5 years ago, but they are struggling more today than 3 to 5 years ago? Has this guy walked through a grocery store? Has he seen the price of chips? Has he seen the price of cereal? Has he seen the prices of anything? Does he realize that we have elderly who, in order to put food on the table, are having to go work at Walmart even though they're 80 years old? Does he realize that people who are in their 30s and 40s, who do have a job, who do have a good career, have moved back in with their parents because they can't afford the price of rent and they can't buy a home right now because the interest rates are so high and the prices of homes are still high? And then you add on property taxes, and then you add on home insurance. People can't afford that. And it's not as simple as go get a better job, go get a second job. It's not that simple. Telling a mom like me to go get a second job when I'm already working a full-time career and I already have a 2-hour commute every day, I don't have time for that. Okay, so what? I go get a second job and now I'm never with my children? How is that worth it? Oh, and now I have to go pay more daycare expenses? How is that worth it? Okay, we have a lot of people in this country, in this world, struggling, and the answer is not to bury your head in the sand and act like nothing's going on. Do not tell me the economy is booming. The economy is not booming when people are struggling the way they are. And when I mean people that have good jobs, who have good degrees, who have 2 incomes coming in their house, and the family is still struggling. That's not a booming economy.
I've been debating on a hot minute if I want to make a video discussing this, but I think it's time because for a while I was embarrassed, and then I was also afraid that my baby daddy would find the video and he would take it to court and be like, look, she can't provide for our children. And you're right, I can't. That was the point of child support. I recently applied for food stamps because I get paid weekly, and sometimes I don't even make it paycheck to paycheck. My rent is $18.95, then you got my utilities, and you got my car note, you got my daycare. I spend $1,600 a month on daycare. When I add up my rent, my water, my electric, my phone bill, my car note, and my daycare, I spend over $4,200 a month just on those items. Notice how I didn't mention groceries or gas to get to work. Notice how I didn't mention school supplies or mention clothes for my growing children, because I have 3 children under the age of 8, and I swear to God, my 8-year-old, I just bought her a whole bunch of clothes and they already don't fit her. Literally bought them like 2 months ago. My kids eat on average $300 to $400 worth of groceries, which is only about 30 items from the grocery store. And as much as I hate to admit it, we've had to resource to a lot of frozen food, canned food, and processed food that's not healthy for any of us, but I can't afford the fresh fruit and the yogurts and the fresh meats and all of that fun stuff. I recently applied for food stamps and I was denied. I was told I make too much money. When I looked it up, for a family of 4 in the state of Tennessee, if you make more than $3,006 a month, you're just living the dream. $3,000. I just told you my rent is $18.95 and my daycare is $1,600. But $3,000 is more than enough to live. You should be doing better. What are you doing with your money, Catherine? I don't even want to get onto the agenda of the fact that in America, at least, I can't speak for other countries, their agenda has literally been to separate the families. If you look back throughout the years, it has just constantly been, okay, well, we're going to give you food stamps because you're a single mom. We're going to give you cash assistance. We're going to give you this. We're going to give you more taxes. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to throw money at you. More so if you're a single parent, so that the families that were together were stressed out and they were fighting all the time because they were always stressed out over money. We're not going to get on that topic. But it's a joke. I make a good amount of money if you go back like 3-4 years ago. I was living the dream off of what I was making then, and I was making a lot less. I used to be able to survive with 3 children and $40,000 income. Not anymore. I make way more than $40,000 a year, and I still can't fucking afford my family. I've done everything right. I've worked my ass off. I have worked my ass off. I've made a good name for myself in the industry that I do. And I make a pretty penny. But it's not enough to survive. Not even barely. That's the problem with America. We're allowing them to tear us apart and fight against gender and racism while they watch us starve to death on the streets.
How are people surviving financially nowadays? Because me and my husband make decent money. We only have 1 child. We have regular cars. We're still paying them off, so we have car payments. We live in a decent area, nothing fancy. And I feel like we're constantly struggling. And there's people that make less money than me and us, actually. And they're living wild lives. Like, are people just racking up all this debt? Or am I just doing something really, really, really wrong? Because I feel like I'm always trying to pay something off. Or I'm always on a budget. And then student loans are due next month and nobody's talking about it. Like, how?
Sorry, if you only want to work 4 hours, it's going to be harder for you to get a house.
Oh, Jesus Christ. First and foremost, Whoopi Goldberg, shut the fuck up. Stop speaking. You have been rich for the last 40 years. You don't get to hop on TV and speak on anybody's lifestyle at all. Shut up. I am so sick of boomers and older people and everybody in that category calling Gen Z and millennials lazy, like we're just some generation of people that don't want to work. We just want everything handed to us. We're just super entitled. Cut the bullshit. Stop the cap. That $500, $600, $700 apartment that you had when you were in your 20s, that apartment that you could afford and still save money to buy a house one day, that house that was $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 when you were little, triple that shit. Quadruple that shit. That's what we're paying nowadays. With wages that don't match the increase in pricing. Let's talk about that. The wages, they don't match the increase in pricing at all. So I don't want to hear y'all say we're lazy and we're entitled. Motherfucker, we are working. Most of the people I know are working 40 plus hours a week, 50 plus hours. Some are working 60 plus hours a week. And then when they get their paycheck for their hard work, they pay their bills and then they hope for the best until their next paycheck. So don't look at us like we're fucking lazy and crazy because we're pissed off about the state of the economy, the housing market, groceries, everything like that. A friend of mine just told me she went to Chili's. Fucking Chili's last night. 2 drinks, 2 meals, and dessert, $100+ for a fucking dinner at a restaurant. I used to go to Applebee's when I was little. It was like $30, $40 for my whole family. Now 2 people got to go spend over $100. Like, you see how that don't make no fucking sense? But let us speak about it. Let us complain about it. Let us voice it. And now we're lazy and entitled. Another point. I hate when older people are like, oh, we had to struggle for what we had. We went through war and turmoil for what we had. Y'all do too. What the fuck kind of mindset is that? What the fuck kind of mindset is that? That's like having kids and being like, oh, I struggled and went hungry when I was young, so you will too. You see how that doesn't make any fucking sense? This is not millennials and Gen Z and young people complaining or being entitled or just wanting things handed to us. This is us saying, hey, we are working our asses off every day of the fucking week. And when we get a return on our efforts, it's minimal. It's bullshit. It's crumbs. And we have the fucking right to voice it. And it's exhausting. It's fucking exhausting. I sound like a broken record because I've spoken on this so many times. And nothing changes. We are hardworking, law-abiding citizens, and owning a home is like a pipe dream for us nowadays. Why do we go look at 2-bedrooms apartments and the lowest price we see is $2,000, $2,100? Sometimes, most of the time, drastically more than that. I don't want to hear it from y'all anymore. I don't want to hear that we're lazy and entitled bullshit anymore. The guy whose video I'm stitching, he did a beautiful job of portraying and showing how it's fucking increased. That 10, 15% of your income that went towards your housing alone, and then you had that 80, 85% of your income still in your pocket for other shit. $40 to 60% of our income goes to housing alone. Do you think that the increase in people promoting mental health and going to therapy and shit like that is just for shits and giggles? People are fucking depressed. People are fucking struggling. Let me ask you all this. How many of y'all didn't buy the Christmas gifts you wanted to this year? If any. How many of y'all have a light Christmas tree this year, but last year or a few years back you never did? It's not a fucking coincidence. A lot of people are struggling, and even worse, a lot of people are faking it. Speak out. Speak up. It's going to stay the same unless y'all open your fucking mouth and speak out against it. As long as we say, oh, that's life, it's going to keep on being life. I can go on for fucking 25 minutes about this shit, but in summary, Whoopi Goldberg, shut the fuck up. Shut your mouth. Along with every other boomer that thinks we're just out here with our hands out waiting for a fucking mansion. We're not. We just want to put food on the table and have a home over our head and then still have money in our pockets. I don't know. Maybe go to the fucking movies. I don't know. Maybe spend our money on shit we want to spend it on for once. Is that so surprising to y'all? Y'all are fucking pissing me off with
It's gotten to the point where it's beyond mega inflation. Have you heard of that term, mega inflation? It's basically when things are like super out of like your out-of-pocket costs are really high.
Yeah.
You should Google Sonic inflation to see how bad it's gotten. Because Sonic inflation is even higher than mega inflation. Actually, you should look up some graphs on Google Images. If you go to Google Images and look up Sonic inflation, some graphs will come up. And you can see how bad our cost of living has gotten. It's something I'm really passionate about. You should do it right now on your phone, actually.
Okay.
I'm being so serious right now.
I can tell.
Please do not lean on doors.
It looks pretty bad.
Fucking got him. Caught in 4K.
Economists are panicking that now, unsurprisingly, consumers are pulling back on their spending. From March to April, consumer spending in the United States was virtually flat. It didn't really go up at all. Now, because consumer spending forms the backbone of the American economy, it has people starting to worry. But how is this a surprise? Remember, interest rates are sky high and so is consumer credit card debt. Let's not forget that credit card interest rates are at an all-time high here in the United States. And we've also been seeing consumers start to default on their credit card bills at a high rate. That's why I've been warning for the last few months that American consumers clearly are maxed out. And this can't be any more obvious when you see how people are refusing to go out to eat now because it's just too expensive. So as far as the JP Morgan CEO's comments that the economy is booming, not U.S. consumer spending. And the reality is that unless interest rates go down or wage growth miraculously boosts out of nowhere, we could be in this point for quite some time. Buckle up, everybody.
Have you seen the video of the person saying, if my checkings account balance goes below 4,000, then there's something up. I'm starting to panic. If you saw the comments, it shows you a lot of people are struggling. Not only that, we're all just trying to figure it out. If you're 18, 25, 30, 35, we're all just trying to figure this shit out. Now, everybody pay attention. Any woman that says to me, oh, I'm not down to go 50-50 for about 2 to 3 years so we can all just stack up, you're an enemy of progress. No, like, listen. The fact that this economy is the worst it's ever been, like, we are in the worst times economically. And you say, nah, you got to go 100 and 0, literally go to fucking hell. Do you know how much it costs to get a single family house in the US? Around $300,000 to $500,000. And you're telling me you're not willing to go 50-50 so we can get an asset? Okay, what I want you to do is go to your nearest Walmart, buy Clorox bleach and drink it.
Guys, I don't know how the average American is making it right now, because from the looks of it, things are just going to hell. For example, if you want to rent an apartment, the landlord wants proof of income 3 times the rent. And out here in northern New Jersey, that means a 1-bedroom, you got to be making 30 to 50% more than the national average. The groceries have gone up like crazy. It's like, it seems like it keeps creeping up ever so slightly, but after 3-4 months, you feel like it's a you feel the increase. Because last year, I would be shopping for myself alone twice a week, and it would run me about $80 each trip. Now it's costing me like $125 to $140 per trip. And when I include going out maybe once or twice a week to eat, my total for food is coming out to be crazy. It's over $1,000. And I know it wasn't like that growing up. It's gotten out of hand. But people are walking around like nothing's wrong. Everything is fine. Everything is dandy. But it won't be long before people are going to have to decide whether to pay the rent, pay the mortgage, or feed their families. And of course, people are going to choose to feed their families. And so who knows what's going to happen. But I was at the mall the other day and it was pretty packed. But there wasn't really that many people holding bags. It was just people hanging around window shopping, which doesn't mean squat. It just means people want to get out of their houses and hang around, maybe eat at the food court. And that the food court was popping, of course. But we're going to have to wait and see. I foresee a lot more shoplifting, a lot of stores going out of business because of that. And there's going to be a lot of break-ins, a lot of cars being stolen, a lot of parts being stolen, wheels, catalytic converters, which is already happening, but it's going to more and more people are going to want to do it because they have no other way. More and more people are going to turn to scamming and stealing and all that stuff because things have gotten so expensive. So we'll see. What's the solution? The only solution is for the banks and the Federal Reserve to forgive all debt. That's the only way. There's no other solution. Even if we took 20 nations to war and gave them money to buy from us, it still wouldn't help the situation.